What's going on, family? This is Ezekiel and Will, and you are now watching the Soul Detox Show.
Listen, our mission is to replace the toxic with the truth. And since you're here, we ask that you like and share this video, subscribe to this channel, because your engagement tells the algorithm to push this message out to more people. Thank you to everyone who's financially supporting the show. Because of your investment, we're creating more opportunities to detox your soul. All right, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are in for a good discussion that I believe is going to provide us revelation and insight. It's a carryover and a continuation as we are, would you call it a series, bro? We're
This is a series right
It's
now.
a series. It's the Redefining Series.
Yeah.
And these are the moments, I think, the tools that we need to apply to our life to redefine things by God's standards. So much of what I see, man, in today's culture is that we are allowing culture to dictate everything. We're allowing culture and societal standards to determine how we move as people of God. Like we're in this place, man, where we're so consumed with this temporary destination that we have forgone even our focus on the eternal. So we want to get into a space now where we're redefining what God actually instituted from the beginning. And if you missed the last couple episodes, we talked about redefining what was good.
Yeah.
And we're going to go a little deeper, man, and really dive into redefining some key things that when we look at it from an external lens, if we don't see it correctly, it could shape how we do everything. For instance, success.
Success. We all want it.
Yep.
Male, female.
Let's talk about that, because people think that in the church, you're not supposed to want success.
Yeah, that's the thing. See, we want success, and there's no problem with the idea of being successful if we've adopted the right understanding of success. I don't want success if it's not God's idea of success.
Come on.
I don't want to be successful on this earth and God sees me and he gives me that Matthew 7, depart from me, I never knew you. I was successful in doing all of these things in your name, yet you didn't know me. We don't want that. But the desire to be able to achieve, to be able to reach, I believe that God has given us something to make us believe that there's something in us that can do beyond what we can see, that we can go beyond where we can go. But we have to trace and understand the motives behind those things and recognize that if God is not sending us,
come on,
then we don't want to go where God is not sending us. I always love this idea that God has his own prescription for success. And we see that Satan, when he came to tempt Jesus, he tempted Jesus with success.
Yeah.
But I think the manner in which he tempted Jesus was really, really insightful. In Luke chapter 4, we see that Satan took Jesus to this high mountain and he began to show him the kingdoms of this world. But I think if we pay attention to what he did and how he did it, it gives us some insight to recognize Satan's definition of success.
Ooh, talk about it.
So for Satan, what he wanted to draw Jesus into the appeal of was this idea of elevating to the height of a great mountain, which was the antithesis of what Jesus did.
Yeah.
So Satan said, come with me and I'll show you the kingdoms of this world from this point of view. When God sent Jesus to this earth, he already had a great and palace version of the point of view of kingdom. And what Satan was trying to introduce was this idea of, hey, what you had in heaven, you could have on earth. I know I run things, I run the operations around here, but I'll give you all of that if you bow down and worship me, which is also to say that when we accept and adopt Satan's understanding and idea of success, we have also volunteered our worship to him. We've already just said, hey, look, I'm not bowing, but success, if I accept Satan's idea of success, then I have already bowed to him. And so when my bad. So when he did that for Jesus, he said, hey, come to this high mountain. And so with that high mountain, we see that there is great distance between the peak of that mountain and the kingdoms in which he is to see and rule over.
Mm.
And that's not how Jesus came to rule. In fact, the way Jesus came to rule was like shepherd to sheep. And the way that shepherds rule over sheep is by being in the midst of them. We see the
Yes.
same thing when Jesus called Moses to be a leader of the people. He took him from greatness, from the palace, to be amongst the people that he was sent to deliver. So I think that God's idea of success looks a lot more like being with the very people that he's come to save, to heal, to bless, and deliver. Any idea of success that creates this great distance and contrast
That's good.
from the people that he's calling us to may just be Satan's idea of success.
That's good. You said so much, man, but it was a couple of things that stood out to me when you were talking about how Satan took him up to the highest mountain, that distance aspect. What we see is in
Jesus.
defining success is that Satan's idea of success is insatiable.
Wow.
He said, I'll give you all of the kingdoms. I'll give it all to you. And whenever you are in a pursuit after all, you will never be filled by the sum. So you're in an aspect now where you just have to get more and you have to get more. And Satan wants you to go after it all when the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. So we got to get into the aspect of how you were talking about that is knowing that success from Satan's lens is all or nothing. That I can't be successful in my day-to-day if it's not all the kingdoms. So I won't be satisfied when you were talking about being amongst the people. I won't be satisfied with having success in my home, in my family and my marriage and my kids. Now they aren't enough because I need more. So we're in this place now where Satan's idea of success is to you got to always chase after more. And if you can't be content, and if you can't be, Paul said, in every state that I'm in, I have learned to be content. And sometimes what we do is we mistake satisfaction for being content. Because you cannot be satisfied in a space that you're in because you know that you're called for more, because you know you desire more, because we have these desires to achieve more. But you can be content in knowing that success does not look like all or nothing. Success looks like, can I do what I need to do here and now and become successful at this? Talking about being amongst the people, then that gives me another barometer for success. Is how am I being successful? Am I being viewed successfully through the lens of the people that I have community with? If I'm amongst the people, does my children view me as successful? Would my wife call me a successful husband? Because so many times people are living, man, for the success that is deemed by external factors. But it doesn't matter to me if people say, "Oh my God, man, I can see how you love your wife." If my wife doesn't feel the love, if I can't go to my wife and she looks at me and deems me successful as a husband, then I realize that I could be adopting Satan's idea for success. Because Satan's idea of success is always chasing more applause, more envy, more likes. So you're not satisfied with the 3 people who liked your post that you changed their life, because you're now qualifying success by 300,000 likes, by 3 million likes, by 3 million followers. So the people who you have direct access to, who you can be influencing successfully,
My God.
we've adopted Satan's idea of success, which is all or nothing.
And I think it's quite interesting. I think it's quite interesting that right prior to the temptation of Jesus, there was this declaration and affirmation of God to him as son.
Come on.
So you're talking about the applause of men, but all Jesus needed was, "This is my son,
Come on.
to whom which I am well pleased."
pleased.
Meaning that if God affirms it, if God approves it, then it creates a hedge and a barricade and also an enablement for me to go out to do what he's called me to do and stand and be anchored to his affirmation through the temptation of worldly success.
Come on.
So the reason why Jesus was able to get past what the enemy was throwing at him, and even the question and the doubt, if you be the Son of God,
Yeah.
if you are who he said you were,
Come on.
then do this. And so we go into these spaces without the backing and approval of God, without God affirming where we're going, without even seeking after him to even know where he's sending us. So when we get into these spaces and when we get to these high mountains, we automatically submit to Satan's idea of success.
Yeah.
We automatically fall into those traps because we're not grounded by his affirmation.
Come on.
In fact, his affirmation is not enough. In fact, we rather for the world to approve us and then God to stamp that. We rather chase our desires and God to put a pretty bow on that and say, I love what you're doing. But instead, Jesus was about to head toward a wilderness. He was unknown amongst the people, but God alone said, I'm pleased with you.
Come on.
Is it enough for God to be pleased?
Ooh. Do we classify God's pleasure as success? Is that even in the category? Because people who have this servant leadership, like for me as a husband and as a father, what brings me the feeling of success is knowing that my wife is taken care of, that my son is taken care of, that they're happy, that they're healthy, that they have peace. Well, our 7-year-old's walking around the house all the time whistling. He's just whistling and like that are indications that something that's happening here is creating a level of success. But if I am only seeking out my pleasure and I'm qualifying that as success, then his whistle and her smile won't be enough.
Oh my God.
So are we even looking at God from the parameter aspect to say, is his smile what I'm actually after? Or am I actually chasing the thing that I see that the enemy is going to use to distract me from my initial mission? What you said, bro, was when he went and got baptized by John, came up out of the water and God parted the skies and said, this is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased, hear ye him. What most people don't do is get God's word first. So we come in seeking sometimes the validation of success.
That's it.
And we are validated now by what people are seeing and saying. And we don't know or realize because what Jesus could have done in that moment coming out when God affirmed him in front of the people and said, this is my beloved son, because not only did he affirm him, he gave him an audience. He said, hear ye him. So open up your ears. So now you have influence.
Jesus.
You have my affirmation. You have authority.
My God.
And most people sometimes run with the influence. Because what happens is then the next verse says, then the Spirit led him into the wilderness. But so many people stop at the influence. So when the Spirit tries to lead us into the wilderness to now test what we've just heard, we are so distracted by the influence that we have with people. So now we come up out of the water. This is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased. Hear ye him. And then we start to go working miracles. And then right after the affirmation, he sends him into the wilderness to now test and prove that you understand who you are to me and who I am to you. Because the affirmation wasn't just him affirming who Jesus was in the aspect of who he was to him, but also so that everyone would know that this is my son.
Yes.
This right here is mine. And when you know that you got a daddy that don't play,
that's good.
when the enemy now tries to come and test you, you know, because Jesus went in to the wilderness with God's word,
Yes.
and battled the temptation with God's word.
That's good. That's good.
So I know what God said about me, who I am to him. So I know that when things come, I'm going to stand on what he said.
Yes.
Because success for me is now resting in the identity of a son.
Oh my gosh. I love what you said about the word, because then it allows us to measure where we are in the midst of seeming success.
Yeah.
Because if I need the word to get to success, and I need the word to sustain success, and I need the word to navigate the temptations that can bring my downfall, then I have to assess, hey, do I have the word?
Woo.
Am I looking into, do I spend time in the word? Is the word in me? If not, it may be possible that I may be experiencing a facet of success that is not God's. And I could be led into a place that is not by the Spirit of the Lord, that allows me to fall prey to the temptations of the enemy. Because we know what really bothers me about that passage is that it said that Scripture says that, and he left him to return at a more opportune time. The enemy, I've seen a pattern in the enemy. He looks for opportune times.
Yes.
When he went to deceive Adam and Eve, he went to Eve first. And when he went to get the boy who had he was deaf and dumb, he got him when he was a kid. When he every time he navigates to infiltrate, to poison, to distract, to lie, to deceive, he always he wanted to attack and to tempt Jesus after he had finished a 40-day fast.
Yeah.
And he tempted him with the lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. In the same way, the enemy is coming to confront what you got in you.
Yeah.
He's not confronting what you got on you. He's confronting what you got in you. Do you got enough word in you to navigate the seasons of temptations, trials, and to be confronted with your true desires? What's really on the back of your mind? I believe there were really temptations of Jesus because to a certain extent, it was something that if Jesus was caught off guard, it would be something to say, hey, this is something that could appeal to me. I just finished fasting.
Yeah.
Bread looks good.
Yeah.
In the same way, the enemy is coming to appeal to that which would be an opportune moment for him.
Yeah.
What are those weak areas that exist in you? Do you have enough word to sustain you when you're weak?
Come on.
Do you have enough word in you to sustain you when you're journeying and God has already affirmed you?
Already.
God has already sent you. Sometimes that's enough for us to go and stop looking.
Yeah.
And to stop tapping into that word. But Jesus, as anointed as he was freshly anointed.
Come on.
As disciplined as he was to get through that 40 days, he still needed the word to overcome temptation.
So success is now being filled with the word. Because I cannot become successful if I am not full of what is actual creating levels of success in me.
Jesus.
And it's the word that is hid in my heart that I might not sin against him, and refusing the suggestion of the enemy and resisting sin is success. The success in the wilderness was Jesus saying, "It is written." It wasn't even that the devil didn't win. It was the fact that Jesus stood on the word. Because Jesus, being fully divine, could have just told him, "Get out of my face."
Jesus.
He could have just said, "I rebuke you."
I rebuke you.
He could have just said, "Depart from me." But he modeled for us, being fully divine still, how to be successful when the enemy comes is to be full of the word that provides you the blueprint for success.
But how can we when we're full of ourselves?
Oh my God.
That's why to be filled with the word requires a level of humility.
Yes.
In fact, we cannot access success without a level of humility, because in Scripture says that Jesus humbled himself to death. Therefore, God exalted him. Meaning the prerequisite of exaltation is humility to death.
To death.
And I love, English language, success. the root word in success has cess, which has a lot to do with, if you know, season, desist, cessation. It all means stop. And if you have a succession arrangement, that means that it's a plan for me to step out of the way for someone to take over. To be filled with the word is
Come
me
on.
getting out of the way.
So he can take over. Oh my God. Say it again.
Getting out of the way so he can. This is what Jesus did. That's what man, if God had just ordained me and said, this is my son, bro, I would have puffed my chest up and
Come
said,
on.
bro, who
He
you
sa-
think
he
you
said,
is?
"Hear he him. I am him." Don't we walk around talking about I'm him? Would have walked around with our chest out, feeling strong,
Absolutely.
and then we get puffed up and then get knocked down because the enemy doesn't care
Yeah.
about what we are building ourselves up as. What he responds to is God's word.
Oh my God.
What he responds to is knowing what God said about you, which is why he comes with an if.
Ooh.
Because if you don't know who you are, then you will base your success upon who I sort of inform you of who you are.
Wow.
I then will now have the ability to shape who you are, and I will know if you know who you are by what you stand on.
Ooh.
So if I come to you and you don't come back at me with the word, I know what you don't stand on. And if you don't stand on the word, at some point I can get you.
God have mercy. No,
Because the word, heaven and earth will pass away. The word will never pass away. It says not one jot nor tittle will fall to the ground. So if I know you're basing success on anything else, all other ground is sinking sand. And you may not sink today, but if you stand there long enough. See, quicksand is not something that sucks you down immediately. When you step into quicksand, there's a gradual process. And people can get in there and they'll start playing around because at first you can still pick your legs up. And at first it's cool and it's fun. But the deeper you get, you realize that there is a force in this quicksand that I can't get out of. And the only thing that I can use to get out of this quicksand is someone throwing me a lifeline and pulling me out based on what was given to me. And God gave his word to Jesus as the lifeline for when you go into this wilderness and the pressure starts to try to suck you out of what I've called you to be, you can reach a hold to it is written to know that if you pull on that word, it won't break.
Oh my God.
If you pull on that word, I don't care what you're building, it won't break. You go in with my word, you stand on my word because my word is the thing that won't fail you. But we keep building success on things that don't have the capacity, on faulty foundations to hold us up.
Oh, Jesus.
And then we build based on a construct or an idea that success looks like achievement.
Come on.
When success, if we see it modeled, looks like resistance.
My God.
It's knowing that I have the power to, but if God doesn't say, I won't go. When David came back and all of the wives and children, the whole camp had been raided, everything was burned, and his men were thinking about killing David because all of their wives and children were taken captive. The whole camp was raided. David still went to God and said, shall I pursue? Now he could have just in the moment, because I hear what the people are saying and I'm the leader and I know I can go out there and get back what they took from me. See, we keep going to seek the get back.
Oh.
Because success now looks like getting even. But David, even in the midst of losing everything, he said, shall I pursue?
Jesus.
Because if I don't go with your consent, it doesn't matter what I win, it's a failure.
Oh my God. Have mercy.
If I don't go with your okay, Because see, if I go into the wilderness without God affirming me, then when the enemy comes, I'll take the kingdoms. If I don't go in knowing what God said and who I am to God, when I'm hungry, I'll turn this stone into bread.
When I'm hungry.
Because that's when he's coming. When you're hungry.
When I'm hungry. That's
We're so hungry for success. We're hungry for more. We're hungry. And it's that insatiable desire that we can't be filled. This is how we get in spaces where we can't celebrate the thing that happens. And I'll be very honest with this. My wife has had to help me with this because there was so much of me that was always looking for more like that. Okay, that was cool, but it got to be bigger because a lot of it was rooted in a scarcity mindset to where I just was that it wasn't, I didn't create enough distance between my loss. You know, I needed to, okay, I might have won, but it wasn't big enough. I need to create more distance. I need to get out of this. We got to get more. We got to get more. We got to get more. And in that space where now I became driven by the aspect of I needed more, I realized that I was qualifying success by the quantity instead of the quality.
oh.
So seeing how much of what the enemy suggests for us, how we can take his suggestion, and it's so subtle. It's so subtle because he doesn't come with this just blatant, overt attack and just to say, you know what, you are going to serve me. You're going to bow. You are going to, I'm going to be your God. What he presents you with something that actually may be a desire of yours.
Wow.
Because if not, it's not a temptation.
Come on. Come on.
You can't tempt me with something that I don't desire.
There you go. There you go.
So knowing how much of the success we desire, because then now I have to check that desire to make sure I'm not being driven by that desire.
There you go. There you go.
Go ahead.
Man, and just thinking about it, even practically for the men and women, men are being burdened by ideas of success, worldly ideas of success. I gotta have this. I gotta do this for me to be qualified to be a husband or a man of God or a man in this era. I gotta make these figures. I gotta do that. And for women, a lot of times it's who they're tied to, who they're connected to. I gotta have a relationship in this way. I have to look like this. I have to dress like this. My body, my figure has to be like this. There's all these prerequisites that God is saying, hey, look, can you get filled up with me first?
Yeah.
Can you go with me first? So many of us want to go. So many of us want to get, and we want to leave God behind.
Yeah.
But Jesus was led into the wilderness, meaning if he could go into the wilderness by the Spirit, with the Spirit, and there's nowhere else that if that's the lowest that you can go. If you could go in the valley with the Spirit, then of course he will take you wherever you need to go. And so in the same way, man, God is saying, are you willing to take my word, to take me with you? Are you willing to be filled with me? Is it enough to go with me alone? What if I'm calling you to go to places that they won't celebrate you, that you won't be seen,
Jonah.
that you might be single for a while, or you might have to trust me for a while, or you might have to actually let me feed you for a while, let me clothe you for a while, that you might have to go alone for a while. Am I enough? And I think wrong ideas of success synonymously make God not enough.
Say that again.
Our wrong ideas of success synonymously make God not enough, because if God is not enough, the wisdom that Adam and Eve sought was literally Satan tempting them with the idea that God was not enough. So where in your life do you doubt God to be enough? That which you pursue from that place is a faulty understanding of success. You cannot have a successful relationship. And you can get married, and they can be beautiful, they could be fine, and you can get the job, and you can make the money. But I remember a scripture in Revelation that says, you think you're rich, you think you're blessed, but you are naked.
Come on.
You are poor, you are wretched, and you are blind. Imagine that.
Imagine chasing after success with this wrong, faulty idea and just building something completely off and wrong. So much of success, so much of our success driven by the aspect of this falter. Because you were talking about this is if the spirit, so a couple things. If the spirit leads you into the wilderness, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But if you lead yourself into the wilderness, that's a whole
nother.
nother. So knowing too, am I going with God? Because I see so many people, we were talking about this the other day, about how people lack this conviction because they've gone so long without God. That you've been doing this for years and just have lost all compass of your moral compass or morality or just integrity of what's right and what's wrong because you've gotten so used to doing it without him. Because it's successful because people are sharing it. It's successful because it's bringing me notoriety. Because here's another thing. Whose glory am I after?
There you go. That's it.
Whose notoriety is this what I'm building bringing attention to?